Welcome back to the Weekly Rant. For our rants come to life, again, as always, sitting next to my partner, Steve. I'm Jimmy. Give you a little quick rundown here today. We'll be talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers stealing a victory from the New York Jets like I had predicted.
Steelers stealing a victory? How catchy is that?
Just go with it.
Well, about more consistency, the Giants lose again, 0-6. We'll talk about that later.
Well, I know I said your Jets lost, but my Denver Broncos are still undefeated. You said your Saints would win as well. They did not. The Kansas City Chiefs are also still undefeated.
And unfortunately, we'll talk about that incredible game up in Foxborough. 30-27 Patriots victory over the Saints.
We got some playoff baseball in action. The St. Louis Cardinals and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Puig is just an absolute stud.
And we'll also talk about Tigers-Red Sox, in which, in honor of the Red Sox winning today, I purposely did not shave for a few weeks, and I'm wearing my Red Sox jersey.
You're a douche. You tried to get me previously to say something else on there. Here. Joe Girardi in local news, he signed a 4-year contract with the New York Yankees. We'll talk about that later as well.
And we'll also discuss the Buffalo Sabres and will they win a game all season.
We have a new segment that we'll be starting off with actually this week. It'll be our new little thing here called the debate. Not too new, I guess. We did have one last week, but we'll be actually centralizing or focusing on a debate this time.
And this week's debate topics will be the Manager of the Year. If you have any thoughts that you'd like to weigh in on, you can send us a tweet, I think that's what they call it, at twitter.com/Jimmy Rants, hashtag Jimmy Rants or hashtag TWR. And for the first time, you may call us at 609-975-9689. That's 609-975-9689. And I apologize for the New Jersey phone number. Of course, nothing is good in New Jersey. However, that's what Google gave me today.
That is the armpit of America. You can actually also find that phone number on our Jimmy Rants Facebook page. You can also find it on Twitter as well.
Well, let's get into baseball. We started football the past 2 weeks, but, baseball playoffs are heating up. But, first off, let's talk about Joe Girardi. Comes back 4 years, $16 million. You were talking last week how he was gonna stick around.
I felt pretty confident about that.
And would you have that based off again?
The fact that his family is still here. He has a long history with the Yankees. A lot of people have been talking about him going to Chicago. I didn't think that. I really didn't think that. This is the third episode in a row where I will be saying his family's here, his kids are here, they're still going to school here. He just bought a new house up in, I believe it's White Plains. It's a given. He's going to stay here. He just signed the 4 years. That's going to make him 10 years with the New York Yankees going through 2017 for a $16 million contract. Almost $20 million with potential incentives.
That's a pretty good contract. Jose Reyes just bought a house in Old Brookville. You think he comes back to the Mets?
The Mets are still paying Bobby Bonilla.
Yeah, whatever. But, very good for Girardi. It's great to know that the first manager domino was fallen, and now we don't have to worry about will he go to Chicago, will he go to LA, will he go to Seattle, will he go to wherever there's going to be an opening in a few weeks. Thankfully, he will not go to the Mets because, Terry Collins re-signed for 2 more years, which I'm happy about.
Yeah.
But it's a good thing. Girardi has been a great manager for them, I said last week, he's been very good for them. He took a crappy team this year, and he's made it pretty well. I know we'll talk a little more about him later. Mm-hmm. But let's shift gears quickly before we go into our first debate, and let's talk about the Cardinals-Dodgers.
Cardinals-Dodgers, that's becoming it's tough to say if it's really becoming a great series, Steve. It's low scoring. But like we discussed earlier, it's great baseball to watch. For the viewers out there who want to sit down and watch a real traditional baseball game about real strategy. It's a good game to really watch and learn the game.
I agree. I just had to try that. I agree. I should say that every time Jimmy makes a good point. I'll be buzzing. I'll be buzzing it all game, all the time. So we'll. I got an idea for later.
Oh, fantastic!
But it has been an excellent series. Game 1, Don Mattingly actually coached himself out of it by replacing Adrian Gonzalez in the 8th inning with D. Gordon. And then come extra innings, when Adrian Gonzalez's spot came up again, he had the feeble-hitting Michael Young up. Doesn't quite work out when that happens. Adrian Gonzalez, Michael Young, a bona fide hitter versus not. So, Don Mattingly's been lucky that it's not 3-0. Rue, or however you pronounce his name, had a very good start last night, and with Ricky Nolasco going tonight, all bets are really off in this series.
I'm sorry, real quick, to about Game 1, you say that he coached himself out of the game. You think he really did that? Only because you look at Carlos Beltran and what he did. They won 3-0. Carlos Beltran had all 3 RBIs. Granted, he's just the only guy who can produce on the Cardinals. If you're going to really try to manage yourself through a game, is that not the one guy you're really going to want to manage around and really try to stop him from doing anything whatsoever?
Absolutely. I mean, the game-winning hit wasn't. I mean, it was just a single. It was a single up the middle to end the game. 13th inning. It was a great game. But the thing is, in the 8th inning, you got to realize while you play for the run right there, what happened in the 8th inning? D. Gordon was pinch running for Adrian Gonzalez, and then someone hit a ground ball to second base, eliminating D. Gordon. You might as well wait for Adrian Gonzalez to get to second base to make that run count, to make it potential that he's not going to get doubled off like that. What happened in the actual game? I mean, Manley made a few other iffy calls, and unfortunately, in Game 2, they got shut down by Michael Wacha, who for the past 22 and a third
Waka.
Oh,
Sorry.
on.
Sorry.
For the past 22 and a third innings, he's allowed, I think, maybe 1 run. He almost pitched a no-hitter, 8 2/3 no-hittings in his last start before the playoffs. He shut down the Pirates in the first round. He shut down the Dodgers in the Game 2, and we'll see him again in Game 6, assuming the series goes that far. It's been a very interesting series.
You mentioned no-hit baseball. I believe that is just a great segue into the Detroit series with Anibal Sanchez, Max Scherzer, not Justin Verlander tonight, but between Game 1 and Game 2 starters, I believe it was a combined 12-inning no-hit baseball. They took Anibal Sanchez out in the 7th inning, or after the 7th. Too many walks. He walked the bases loaded. He ended up striking out. I forget who it was to close out the 7th inning, but he ended up striking him out. I don't know what to make of the two of them. They are unbelievable. Verlander is pitching a gem tonight. I believe Boston is going to still. I think they're going to win 1-0. Unless they did win 1-0 tonight. It's another series that, if it's not going to be a low-scoring game, it's going to be a high-scoring, close game, i.e. Game 2 with David Ortiz.
Well, I mean, for a while, Game 2 really wasn't that high-scoring. Clay Buchholz fell apart in the 6th inning, and then Ortiz had a dramatic blast in the 8th inning, which feels like everyone and their mother was calling from the get-go. Game 1 was excellent. Anibal Sanchez had 12 Ks in his time of work. 6 walks, that was a little too much, but it was almost the first time that they had a piecemeal no-hitter in the playoffs. I mean, the last one dating back to Roy Halladay.
Mm-hmm.
But the pitching so far has been great. Max Scherzer had an excellent start, and I mean, I actually saw a report this weekend. He may be traded in the offseason.
Really?
With all of the cap that's going to Miguel Cabrera, Victor Martinez, Prince Fielder, Justin Verlander, Anibal Sanchez. Mm-hmm. They may not have enough money to keep Max Scherzer.
Peavy, right?
No, Peavy went to Boston.
I'm sorry, yeah, Boston.
Peavy's pitching tomorrow night for the Red Sox. But they just don't have enough money to go around anymore. I mean, yeah. Mike Ilitch is a very rich owner, but at this point, it's just not. They just don't have enough. So it's going to be very interesting to see what they do with Scherzer. Verlander tonight, I mean, ridiculous. In Game 5, he was also spot on. I really thought the Oakland Athletics was going to take that series, even with Verlander going Game 5. But you know what? I'm allowed to be wrong once in a while, so it's okay.
Once in a while. You had Oakland advancing. You had the Saints to continue. You had the Jets to win. But should I go on? Because I'm pretty sure I said all of this.
Hey, come on, let's keep going.
No. I think that's all you had, but... Douche is never wrong. Hey, that's not a point. I went in 2-0. Look at that.
I'm not going to get a bell smack at this rate. But if you have any thoughts, call us at 609-975-9689. But let's go back to the Boston Tigers series. What was going through your head when David Ortiz hit that grand slam?
I'm glad the FCC is not watching us because when that happened, I said, oh, shit. And now I have to sit next to him wearing a Boston Red Sox jersey. It's so hard for me to watch these games. They're not the most clean-looking athletes. I'll get to that later. David Ortiz, though, I got to say, he's one of my favorite players in baseball. I despise the Red Sox. But this guy, on and off the field, he's impressive. He's a great guy. Does a lot of charity work. He's great to the public in Boston. You can't hate the guy. You really can't hate the guy. And you look at someone like that who's been with the organization his whole entire career. and what he's done for them, what he's meant to the organization. Especially when he lost all the weight, people thought it was going to be kind of like CC Sabathia. Oh, he's not going to have the power, this and that.
He lost all the weight? What
Did he lose? He must have lost since 2000, whenever they won the last World Series.
I mean, when he stopped taking all the steroids?
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, people always forget that David Ortiz failed as a Minnesota Twin and came over to the Red Sox in, I think, 2003. And he basically revitalized his career by taking PEDs. By hitting more home runs and taking advantage of the pesky pull at Fenway Park. But, that's an interesting question. I mean, he's hit 420 regular season home runs in his career. He's probably got about another 3 or 4 years left. Do you think he makes the Hall of Fame?
No. Anybody that's taking PEDs is not going, at least right now. As far as I'm concerned, anybody with PEDs just should not go in. And if they do go in, they need to have their own wing of the Hall of Fame. Well, everything needs to be asterisked. Pete Rose needs to be in before anybody with PEDs.
I agree.
That's the way I look at this whole thing.
I agree. But what about, I don't know, that players in the 70s, they took amphetamines, they took greenies, they took all these stimulants. Why is that different than what Barry Bonds took or what A-Rod took? Or
It's not. People are, I don't want to say making it a big deal. It's coming to everyone's attention now. And they're really starting to think and see, it's actually putting a crease into baseball, into their stats, into the meaning of the game. And all these kids growing up now wanting to play baseball, they want to take this stuff. They want to look up to these players as their idols and say, oh, he took PEDs? Oh, who cares? I'm going to take them too. Whatever. At least it'll get my stats up, my numbers, and all the scouts will look at me. And when I get to college, I'll stop because I know that's where they started to check for PEDs and all that stuff. I'll stop then.
I mean, steroids have become a big deal in a lot of sports. I mean, you're going to see football soon. You're going to have some of these players who probably have taken steroids and HGH. What do you think about that and all the other sports?
Honestly, it's something that you'll see people's real opinions come out when that comes out. People will say about hockey, oh, it's not too bad. What can they possibly do? Oh, shoot harder, big deal. They'll just adjust the goalie equipment. Or they'll adjust the net, or they'll do something to compensate for people taking all these PEDs and HGH and everything. In basketball, same thing. Is that going to make them jump higher? Who knows? You know what? When it comes to it and they start to really test for it, then you're going to see people's reactions, and you're going to see in what ways it's affecting those sports.
Now, before we get into our first actual debate, which we will give it a working title in the future, as opposed to just the debate. Yesterday, Jack Clark for St. Louis Media, former Dodger, and played for a few other teams back in the 70s and 80s, was on a radio show a few months ago and called out Albert Pujols, saying he took steroids and he knew the guy who injected him. Albert Pujols vehemently denied it and has now sued Jack Clark for the defamation of character. Jack Clark yesterday went on record saying, "I'll take a lie detector test. Why don't you?" Now, what are you thinking right there?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're pointing to me. Oh, yeah. I don't want to answer that question, but I guess I will.
I'll tell you real quick what I think about it. I think it's a bunch of BS. Okay, especially being with the Dodgers organization. Gee, who is the Dodgers hitting coach? Can I ask you that?
Currently?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Mark McGwire.
Oh yeah, you're right.
That's what I think about that. Go on.
I think it's brilliant by Jack Clark. I think it's a brilliant ploy.
Yes, that was a good point by me.
No, I'm going to ignore that. We'll save the bell for a few minutes. I think it's brilliant. Jack Clark can't lose here. Pujols will never take a lie detector test because, well, he's just not. And Jack Clark will pass. And even if Pujols were to fail the test, a lie detector test is not admissible in court. So for all he can do, he can still fail and it wouldn't make much of a difference. But, I mean, Pujols is going to look bad on all these fronts because Pujols may not take the test and he's going to look bad because that just shows you're probably guilty. And even if he does take the test, there's a potential that he fails. And if he doesn't fail, well, people will say, well, just a lie detector test is not really that reliable. So Jack Clark can't lose. Great move by him.
Wow.
You like that? You like that legal rant?
The Chinese food's kicking up on me right now.
What's the last time you get chicken lo mein? Anyway, moving on. we're going to go into our first edition of the debate. What's going to happen is we're going to talk, and once we finish our side, we'll hit the bell. And that's how we know that we're done. So that way we don't talk over each other because, quite frankly, as a lawyer, I will yell over Jimmy all day long. And Jimmy, as a hooligan, will try and yell over me all day long. So the bell's a good idea.
Okay, I like that.
All right, well, today's topic is Manager of the Year. As I said earlier, I believe Don Mattingly has been coaching the Dodgers out of the NLCS. However, during the regular season, there's potential that he's been doing a great job. But let's talk first about the National League. Jimmy, who is your choice for Manager of the Year in the National League?
Oh, I'm going to have to say Clint Hurdle, Pittsburgh Pirates. There's one valid explanation behind that. Their first playoff appearance in 21 years. I don't know what else to say about that. That, to me, weighs the heaviest of anybody. With the Pittsburgh Pirates being in, that's a team everybody says, oh, they're going to be garbage, 21 years down the road. The first manager that gets into the playoffs, I'm sorry, how do you not kind of be a little biased towards that and say, you get the Manager of the Year for the NL? Oh.
I mean, how could you not say? Easy. You don't make a Manager of the Year. You know what, Clint Hurdle? Great story. Unbelievable. 21 years not making the playoffs. Awesome. Congratulations, Pittsburgh fans. You made the playoffs. You lost in the first round. Granted, the NL Manager of the Year race is not about playoffs. It's about the regular season. In May, the Los Angeles Dodgers were in last place.
You win.
He almost was fired in June. But the Dodgers stuck with Don Mattingly, and they made the playoffs. He made the playoffs without Matt Kemp for half the year because of his variety of illnesses and ailments. Andre Ethier was not Andre Ethier of old. Carl Crawford was on the DL for half the season. They lost Josh Beckett for most of the season. Clayton Kershaw got no run support. Zach Greinke was great, but he was on the DL from various injuries. One for getting his collarbone broken, for being a bum, or from hitting all those people in Arizona, and getting decked by Carlos Quinton in San Diego.
Yeah.
So he had a lot on his plate, but they were able to stay tough, and they were able to win the division. I mean, there are other choices, and I think you have a few others, right, if I'm not mistaken. But I think Don Mattingly, in all scheme of things, deserves it more than Clint Hurdle.
Well, I was going to actually help you out there and say Don Mattingly did win 42 games of 50.
Yeah.
That's a big thing right there. That really is.
And, people do say, well, look at the Dodgers' salary. And you know what? It's a lot. Carl Crawford, Adrian Gonzalez, Zach Greinke, Clayton Kershaw, or what Clayton Kershaw will make soon, Hanley Ramirez. They all make a lot of money. And I also forgot Hanley Ramirez missed half the season as well. He was playing with guys like Juan Uribe, D. Gordon, Mark Gellis, Nick Punto, and a bunch of other unknown bums for half the season.
Speaking of bums, the Islanders are up 2-1 right now over the Sabres. I'm sporting the Sabres look tonight because I'm thinking they're going to pull through with their first win tonight. I got a 3-2 score for the Sabres, and they're down 2-1 right now.
I'm going to throw the bell at your face. Ding.
AL. Let's look at the AL. What do you got for the AL? Because I got to ask you first. I hate the two managers that I have for a bunch of reasons, but I'm hoping you don't have either one of them.
Well, I don't know what managers you have because I'm not psychic. I wish I was, but I'm not. My Manager of the Year goes to Bob Melvin of Oakland.
Moneyball.
Moneyball, absolutely. Bob Melvin took a bunch of unknown players, unknown pitchers, unknown bullpen, and he got them to win the AL West. Not barely like last year, but convincingly. He was able. The point of a manager is to bring out the best in your players. Bobby Valentine did a great job of that with the Mets in '99 and 2000. Not so much in 2012 with the Boston Red Sox. But Bobby Valentine was a pretty good manager at bringing out the best and players who really aren't that good. And Bob Melvin's really seeming to be that type of guy. Josh Donaldson at third base, Coco Crisp. I mean, these guys all failed in other places, and they came to Oakland and became very good pitchers. Grant Balfour turned into an incredible closer, in which he really didn't do that well before. He was a Minnesota Twins farmhand. He flamed out, and it's just he really did a lot. He did the most with the least.
Okay, that's great. Shut up, because I have these two. I have John Farrell with Boston. Yeah. To go against that, I got Joe Girardi with the Yankees. A lot of people if you were going to call in, are probably going to want to call in and rant me out about not having Joe Girardi up there. You all know I'm a Yankee fan. You got to hear me out with this. The injuries, okay? The injuries that Joe Girardi had to deal with. He made a lot of terrible decisions throughout the year, especially this bullpen and everything down the line with that. But the injuries are the biggest thing here. Everybody saw what was going on with the Yankees. They said, they're not going to really win much. They're probably going to finish 500 at best. Next thing you know, 3 games before the season's over, they're still in it. They're praying 3 games, to the season left, but they're really praying, and they thought they had a chance. Not nothing. They really did almost have a chance. But the other one is John Farrell with Boston. Again, Boston winning tonight, tying the series. No, taking a 2-1 series lead. Tying the 2-1 series lead.
No, yeah, 2-1.
Wow. So, anyways, John Farrell, especially taking over what Bobby Valentine did with them. Bobby Valentine. He's a mess. I'm sorry. There's no other way around that one. He's just a mess. He should not have came back. And to coach with Boston, manager of Boston, first of all, manager in baseball, I think is stupid. Other than I think the only job for a manager is managing the bullpen. Really calling in someone to come in. I can't in the lineups. You look at every other sport that there is. With hockey, they're out there. With basketball, they're out there. Football especially, although football you have 10,000 coaches. You look at baseball, manager 9 times out of 10 is just sitting on the bench doing nothing. That goes back to the Joe Torre era of really sitting there doing absolutely nothing. And then making a couple of signs here and there. I don't really know how much a manager can help. For the record, not to make a fool of myself, I never did play baseball, really. But anyways, I do have John Farrell and possibly Joe Girardi. I don't know who I would take over. Either one. I really don't know who I would take.
You done?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Not used to that.
I mean, I know who I would take if I had to choose between the two of them. You have to take John Farrell, and you said it yourself, just because of what happened. But we're forgetting about somebody else. I'm for those watching in Cleveland, I doubt that's any of you. But for any of you who are watching from Cleveland, Terry Francona should deserve high praise for the job he did this year. He took over a Cleveland team that hasn't been good since Major League, and
you stole that from me, damn it.
Yeah, but it wasn't funny when you said it. It's only funny when I say it.
It wasn't.
No, well. And he really made that team good. Michael Bourne was out for half the year. Nick Swisher wasn't himself. They had Jason Giambi as their best bench hitter. And the pitching staff, I mean, he got the best out of Ubaldo Jimenez.
They're the best cheerleader in the game.
Sure.
I think he has Nick Swisher. Best cheerleader there is.
That's true.
Brings motivation to the club.
But Scott Kazmir bounced back and had a great year. He's relevant again, surprisingly. Tito did a great job, and he was run out of Boston in 2011 after the whole fried chicken and beer debacle in the clubhouse. And it's good to see him bounce back. He was waiting. He took a year off in baseball. He wanted to make sure he had the right job, and I think he found it in Cleveland. He's got a great young core, and you know what? I think Cleveland's could potentially rival the Tigers and win that division next year.
That was pretty tight. That will be a tight race also next year in general. What do you say? Move off of baseball, get to a little football now?
Yeah, before we do that, just a reminder, if you want to chime in our conversation, you can tweet us at twitter.com/Jimmys Rants. Or give us a phone call at 1-609-975-9689. If you want to be on a Ustream video, this is your chance. But moving on. Last week, Jimmy said that the Pittsburgh Steelers would defeat the New York Jets, and I told him he was an idiot. Well, I'm eating crow this week, so it tastes delicious. But the Jets, did not look good. It was pitiful, actually, to say the least. They really took a step back from what happened the week before in Atlanta. And it only goes to show how consistent can this team be. With the rookie quarterback, I don't know how much. Unfortunately, Rex Ryan needs to rely on this good rookie quarterback to potentially keep his job for another year.
But they still got to Ben Roethlisberger a lot. They still put a lot of pressure on him. They got him down, I think, 4 times.
They still lost.
Yes. You're speaking. This is where the true Jet fans coming out because they were coming in 3-2. No one was expecting them to be anything near good. So, saying, they still lost, I know it's tough because they turned everything around and everybody thought they were going to be what they were rated, which was 32nd out of 32nd in the power rankings coming in. Sure as hell, they're top 10 every category defense. So I see where you're coming from, but, they still lost. Their defense is still there. Their offense needs time.
Well, they're not top 10 in takeaways. They have not been able to take the ball away. They haven't been able to pick the ball. They haven't been able to do fumble recoveries. Their cornerbacks, as strong as they are, they're really strong swatters. They're not taking chances, and that's the issue. When it was in the game yesterday on Sunday, they needed to be better at taking chances. The receivers on Pittsburgh, Emmanuel Sanders and Antonio Brown, are good, but they're not the sharpest run routers or route
Emmanuel
runners.
Sanders made Cromartie look like a fool on that 55-yard touchdown.
Well, Cromartie had a bad knee. I'm not sure if he even really should have suited up. They probably should have let him sit for another week and rest up, because considering he is the heart and soul of that defense now that Revis is floating on in Tampa Bay, they really needed to make sure that he was ready. And, looking at him playing on Sunday, he really didn't seem to be on his game the way that he was in the past weeks and the season before. He wasn't that shutdown corner that we all really know him to become. Now, Pittsburgh, the Jets' offense, though, was awful. Just god-awful.
Yeah, it was.
In the first quarter, they were 4th and 1 on Pittsburgh's 2. They just had to kick a field goal. Now, in a game in which you know is going to be a bad game from the start, kicking a field goal on 4th and 1 from the 2, not the smartest idea. You might as well pin them back and not give them a chance to start back at the 20 or 25 or 30-yard line or wherever they're going to end up.
Well, what also happened in the red zone was Geno threw a pick in the fourth quarter, which turned out to be Pittsburgh's first anything as far as interception, fumble recovery, some sort of a turnover. That was the first positive for Pittsburgh this season.
It didn't look good. It was a bad pick. He
Absolutely.
threw Geno. What Geno's got to learn is, and what I learned when I was a flag football quarterback, you can't be throwing off your back foot. Granted, I threw a pick off a shovel pass, so I really can't be talking about quarterback skills.
And you learned that in flag football.
Yes.
Right.
Well, I got to do something.
Okay. So do the Jets. They need to do something on offense. You're absolutely right. Geno Smith, it's going to take time.
They signed Josh Cripps today.
Yeah, that's nice. Anyways, it's going to take time. I'm telling you, Geno's going to be okay. Geno's going to be much better than Mark Sanchez ever will turn out. There's a lot of potential there. I think with Rex Ryan being there, first of all, Rex Ryan shouldn't go anywhere. I know there's a lot of talk that he's not coming back. Guess what? If the Jets finish anywhere near 500, I don't want to say anywhere near, but at the best, if they finish one game under 500, let's just say, or anything better than that, Rex Ryan should not go anywhere. He needs to stay at this organization, especially with Geno Smith. They need to stay together. You don't want to have Geno Smith turn into Mark Sanchez in the sense of constantly going through different coordinators through his entire career. That's one thing where I can say I do kind of feel bad for Sanchez for, because he didn't have a system to go by every single year and kind of really learn. He had to learn fresh new stuff every single year. Geno Smith, as long as Rex Ryan stays here, and as long as Marty Morningwig stays here, I think Geno will be okay. He needs to learn one system. That's it. I think he'll be all right.
They kind of what they did last week, which kind of hurt them, was going to a 3-headed running back with Mike Goodson, Chris Ivory, and Bilal Powell. Powell's really been the stalwart for them, and this last week they decided to break it up and break up the flow.
They didn't even get 100 yards combined.
I know, and that's the point. They weren't able to get into a rhythm. The running backs, the blocking schemes for the different running backs changed, and they really weren't able to get consistent on it. And I'm going to say thankfully, I don't mean to sound callous, thankfully Goodson got hurt and is out for the year now, because now they can go back to 2 running backs, and maybe this could be a little better on Geno. But in the future going forward, the Jets have a tough one next week against the Patriots, and as you said last week, they play Cincinnati and then the Saints. And before, when I thought that it was possible the Jets can go 2-2, you know what? 0-4 is looking like a stronger possibility.
It is. I really don't mean to toot my own horn. Who the hell am I kidding? Of course I do. They got New England coming up. I understand the Jets are hosting New England and all. Tom Brady, with what he did in that Saints game, you want to talk about riding high and wanting to fly into MetLife Stadium right now and really tear the Jets a new asshole. Those two teams hate each other. And Tom Brady really showed everybody up. He led 31, I think it was 31 total fourth quarter comebacks, whether he was tied or trailing. With that being said, though, he's not really much of a 2-minute drill quarterback.
Nope.
Okay? But, however, with what he did in playing against the Saints, that's going to favor him a lot coming in and playing against Rex Ryan and the New York Jets. Now, they also, after facing New England, they also then follow that up with the Bengals. I think then after that is the Ravens. Saints. Then the Ravens, and then the Bills, or then the Bills and the Ravens. It's going to be a tough schedule coming up. That's just the way it is. And, yeah, I don't see them coming out of this with a victory anywhere. Their best chance for a victory. I understand they had a close game at the beginning of the season against New England. I don't think this one's going to be close. I don't want to call it a blowout, but it's going to be at least by 2 scores that New England's going to win. I'm not in the business of predicting anything, although last week I did pretty damn good. Cincinnati is going to be the Jets' best chance at a victory. What do you think about the Jets' chances for a wild card?
Well, I don't think it's very good. I mean, you gotta figure that one of the Broncos or the Chiefs will take one wild card spot, and then for the other one, Miami's still there. People forget that they're still 3-2. You also gotta see San Diego had a very impressive win yesterday over the Colts, that 19-6 victory, which goes to show there is a way to beat Andrew Luck. And you also can't count out the Texans. Yes, they looked awful on Sunday, losing 38-13 to the Rams. But you know what? They're not done quite yet. The only thing going for the Jets is right after that tough stretch, when the Bills come back, they got a pretty easy schedule for the rest of the season. They play the Browns, the Raiders. They play a bunch of crappy teams down the stretch. They also have the Panthers. They have a pretty good schedule to close out. So they have a chance to win a few games, and 9-7 may possibly get them in the playoffs. However, you know what? This isn't their year, and just the few wins have been much nicer for me as a Jets fan this year.
Been much nicer for you because I'm a Giant fan. Let's get into that Thursday night football game.
What happened to them?
They didn't show up.
Oh, okay.
At all. They did not show up. It's getting old. If you recall, 2-3 years ago, Rex Ryan saying, "Oh, we're going to win the Super Bowl. We're going to go all the way. This is the team." Well, guess what? The Giants are turning into that. All their players are saying the right thing. They really are. Oh, my God, it's getting old. Just shut up. Well, I think we could win here. Well, you know what? Okay, so this weekend is a division game between the Cowboys and the Eagles. Obviously, someone's going to lose. If we can just pull through here and beat the measly Minnesota Vikings, who have no quarterback whatsoever, just Adrian Peterson out there, guess what? We'll be 2 games behind with only 8 games left. Give it up. You suck. You suck. That's it. You're going to lose. You're going to keep losing. You might get 3 wins this year. It's getting so old with what they're saying. I freaking had it with them. I really have. It's so frustrating.
I'm loving it.
I know you are. I feel like
this is excellent. This is I should be wearing an Eli Manning jersey today because I'm just that. I just want to support him.
I should be wearing my Plaxico jersey because I feel like I'm shooting myself in the foot as a fan.
Aww. It's actually interesting though. As we move on to the season, the trading deadline will be next week or October 29th, and as the Giants continue to fall among the winless squad with Tampa Bay and Jacksonville, who I think Jacksonville's on a whole different level of winless teams.
Yeah.
There's some interesting possibilities to be traded. Some like Hakeem Nicks. Now, do you think Hakeem Nicks remains a Giant past Week 8?
He's going to be targeted by a lot of teams. Now, I know a lot of Jets fans like yourself would like to have him.
No.
Really?
No.
I've heard nothing but Jets fans saying we would love to have him on the team.
I would love to have him. Why would I want to give anything up?
That's the argument right there. You really can't give up too much for him. He's going to want a lot. He's not worth a lot. He really isn't, especially with what he's doing this year. I don't care how bad Eli is performing. Nix is not worth that much. He's at best your 2 wide receiver, at best. Now, being with the trade deadline coming up, there's a lot of news surrounding everybody. The Jets always take the headlines and everything. But to break down the game a little bit, seeing those 2 drives back-to-back, interceptions by Eli, my hair, it's thinning. I believe I ripped out what was left, which is why, to go along with the Buffalo Sabres jersey, I'm wearing this winter hat. My head's a little cold from ripping my hair out watching that Giants game.
I was trying to think of
Stop
something funny.
looking at that hat. Just stop.
I was trying. I tried to think of a good joke. It just wasn't coming out, and
Good joke is the Islanders, because right now they just let up another goal. It's 2-2.
that's been going on for 11 minutes. I just let you talk for a while.
Sorry, I'm paying attention to our fans here.
I let you talk so you don't have to watch it.
Oh, okay.
I'm just that polite, right?
Thanks.
But no. I didn't watch most of the game. I was at a country western bar in Virginia Beach feeling completely out of place as they did synchronized dancing to every single song, and I felt like I was watching a movie with...
So that's how you knew so much about Brokeback Mountain. You just living it down there.
Oh, no, you're not getting a bell ring for that one. You couldn't have at least changed it up?
No.
You couldn't have changed it to, I don't know. I don't even know any other types of movies. But, moving on.
Some Clint Eastwood movie.
Clint Eastwood's a good actor.
Yeah.
But regardless, Jay Cutler...
John Wayne.
Rest in peace. Jay Cutler had a very good game. 2 touchdowns, 250 yards. And you know what? He's turned into a consistent quarterback this year. Jake the Snake, or not Jake the Snake, but Jay Cutler is looking a little less like Tony Romo and a little more like, well, I guess Eli Manning circa last year.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was funny. I'm sitting down at the bar watching the game, and before the kickoff, I actually wrote down on the side for Eli interceptions. And I thought it was pretty funny that he threw the one right away. And I says, okay, I actually put it down. Okay, good. Next thing you know, next drive, boom, another one. I'm saying to myself, I really should not put this down because he's probably going to throw another one. He ends up throwing 3 interceptions. Thursday Night Football, national TV game. As crazy as this sounds, they made a fool of themselves, first of all. But they're not going to want to do it a second time. Or should I say for a 7th time. I'm honestly going to take the Giants to win this week.
Ooh.
I'm sitting falsely on the edge of my seat. I think the Giants will take this victory. It's at home, Monday Night Football. They all know enough is enough. They have high spirits. They're all happy-go-lucky, apparently.
Well, did you hear Antrell Roll today on The Fan?
What did he say?
He's saying that not everyone's in it.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
So
And not everyone's around on this 11-day layoff. Not everyone's around.
You know what? Antrell Roll
He's causing
is saying the
problems.
right thing. I love Antrell Roll.
Yeah.
If he wants to be a Jet, I'll take him.
I was going to say, he fits that profile perfectly.
He is perfect. You know what? He is a great guy, great teammate. That's a guy I want on my team. And a great interviewer, too. We need a few more of those. Geno Smith is really not the best interview.
No. There were a couple of keynotes, though, in the Giants game. Victor Cruz did get his 200th career reception. That's good for him. You want to see a player like him live up to the contract that he just got on the offseason, so that's always good there.
On a side note, Cal Clutterbuck has the best mustache in all of sports.
Cal Clutterbuck has the most pathetic name for a hockey player.
But anyway, I don't mean to cut you off
No, it's
from
cool.
your notes, but I disagree with you. I think the Vikings will win
Okay.
on Monday, and I think they'll be 0-7, the Giants. I'm not saying that out of malice.
No, I'm all for it. Go
Because
ahead.
quite frankly, I would love to see the Giants go 0-7, even though I do root for the Giants on the off chance there.
That would be the first time in history they go 0-7 because they're starting 0-6 is the first time since 1976.
But Josh Freeman's taking over at quarterback, and I think we may have our first caller. So hold on 1 second. Hello, you're on the air.
Hi, Jimmy.
Yo, what's going on?
How are you?
Good, who's this?
It's Amanda.
Hey, Amanda, what's happening?
Am I live on the air?
You are live on the air, live at Jimmys Rants.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
It's Jimmy here and Steve is to my right. What's going on?
Oh, not much. I want you guys to talk about that guy, Kyle Sutter, whatever his name is again.
Cal Clutterbuck, you got the worst name in the NHL who plays for your beloved New York Islanders.
I know, and our beloved Islanders are right now tied at 2.
They are. Are you watching this game or are you? What's the deal with that? You watching it?
I'm just watching it now.
Excellent. So, what do you think of the Islanders this year so far?
I think they look alright, but they struggle in the 3rd period.
That kind of reminds me of the New York Mets trying to close out their games in the 9th inning, though.
Really?
I'm sorry.
Let's not go there, okay? I think they have potential, but, you never know.
See, now, luckily, you're
Able
actually...
to finish, you know what I mean?
Luckily, you're also talking to my partner Steve here, who happens to be a fan of the New York Jets, New York Islanders, and the New York Mets.
Yes, Steve.
Yeah, Amanda. I'm a miserable wreck half the year, just because all my teams can't win. But I agree with you on your assessment on the Islanders. I do like them. I think they're good this year. But sorry, I'm laughing at myself right now. But Cal Clutterbuck came to the Islanders and this year, and he's probably my favorite hockey player actually, besides the mustache. He was my favorite Islander or favorite hockey player just because he plays the game right. He plays a lot like Matt Martin, and it's nice to see them both in the same team and gritty little guys.
I gotta say, with the New York Islanders, Matt Molson is actually, I think I said this once before, Matt Molson is one of my favorite players in the NHL. That goes beside Ryan Callahan, but I do like Matt Molson a lot. I wish he was a Ranger.
Whoa.
Yep.
That's big coming from you.
It is. So, Amanda, I thank you for calling in. That's great. You're our first call at the Jimmys Rants program. I really appreciate that.
I'm so excited.
Thank you. So,
Again,
again,
I caught the last end of the.
call back into the Weekly Rant with Jimmy and Steve on the next episode.
And let's go Islanders.
That's right.
All right.
So that was our first call.
That was fun. Again, if you want to call us again, 609-975-9689. I think I was just finishing up on my how the Vikings will beat the Jets or beat the Giants.
Well, they'll beat the Jets if they play the Jets.
No, they won't. But the Vikings have Josh Freeman starting a QB this week, most likely. Matt Castle has proven that he is not a good quarterback.
Of course, go to a team where you know you'll get the starting role, being the Minnesota Vikings.
Isn't that the smartest play?
That's what I'm saying. Of course, it's obvious.
Adrian Peterson's going to run right over the Giants' defense. And you know what? Greg Jennings and Cordell Patterson are pretty good receivers, and their defense isn't that bad. Jared Allen's still a force to be messed with. If he's on the right side, Will Beatty's going to let up 5 sacks this week.
Yeah.
And we'll go on from there. But we still have a few more things to talk about in the football realm before we head over to hockey. We talked last week about who will be the last unbeaten team, and I went with the Saints, and well, I was wrong.
That's a good point. Can you hit that again? That wasn't loud enough.
Oh,
there it is.
Go.
I'm gonna pull that up. Okay.
When you do it, you just gotta use one finger. You don't get used the full fist. Okay.
That's what she said.
Okay. To all those people who are watching who have children under the age of 18, I'm so sorry for my partner. That was very rude and inappropriate of him.
I said asshole on air.
Yeah, and I was ignoring it.
Oh. All right.
Now, the Saints looked like they were about to win the game on Sunday against the New England Patriots.
It was a great draw.
27-23. Bill Belichick had already given up, basically going for it on 4th down on the Patriots 24 and didn't convert. And
30-27.
That was the final, but it was 24-23
Yes.
when they went for it on 4th down.
Yes,
Saints took a field goal. You give Tom Brady enough chances, and Tom Brady's going to beat you. And that third time, the first 2 tries were feeble. He was awful. The team was awful. The team was awful all game. Hell, I took an hour nap during that game because I was bored. It was a boring game. It wasn't fun. And then with 1 minute left, Tom Brady takes the ball, and he was able to drive it down the field, scoring a touchdown with 5 seconds left to ruin all hopes of me being right on who's the last undefeated team. Damn you, Tom Brady. You still look like Lloyd Christmas from Dumb and Dumber.
I never heard that.
It's new. Look at his new haircut. He looks like Lloyd Christmas.
They're coming out with a third one.
Yes.
Well, Dumb and Dumber 2, or however you want to phrase it, whatever they're
still
doing.
dumb and I don't know. Great movie, and it's still hard to believe that Jeff Daniels, who's in the newsroom,
yeah, that is one of my favorite shows. That's one of my favorite shows on TV.
And won an Emmy. He's playing Harry.
Yeah,
it just never gets old.
I saw it must have been like on Tumblr or IMDb something. I saw a couple of pictures from one of the scenes, and it looks like neither of them aged one bit.
I know.
I'm looking at the pictures, and I'm just laughing looking at the pictures. I see him like, wow, I can just imagine him right now with this tongue stuck in the ski lift pole right now. It brings back memories from the original movies.
But then watching Will McAvoy on the newsroom, it's just you just can't. I never got that.
I started watching that first episode about the BP oil spill.
That was a great app.
And I never turned away from that. I thought it was a great episode.
Anything that's with Aaron Sorkin, I'll watch.
Yep.
Doesn't make a difference, except for the Facebook movie, because quite frankly, I'm not watching that.
Never saw that.
Oh, the Social Network, whatever it was called. But anyway,
Tom Brady.
Back to that. Let's actually slide over quickly because to the last two undefeated teams, we have Denver and KC. Denver, boring game against Jacksonville, but Jacksonville actually played a good game, 35-19 victory. And KC, the score doesn't really show how close it was, but had a dominating 24-7 victory over the Raiders. Now, I think, are you still going to stick with Denver?
This week, they're going up against Indy. That's going to be a great game. That might get, aside from the Manning Bowl, I guess, I'm trying to think what other really great games there were.
Jets-Falcons?
Aside from any of the other great games there were, I think this might get the most viewers of any game all season long, pending the outcome from here until Week 11 when Denver and Kansas City meet for the first time. Right now, they're both, as we know, they're both undefeated 6-0. But Denver going into Indianapolis, that's going to be very emotional for Peyton Manning. The crowd's going to love him. I think and Andrew Luck is going to be shaking. This is going to be the one game that he's going to be beside himself. He's going to be nervous. He's not going to know what to do. He won't be able to make his routes and read anything. I think this game is going to be a great game to watch for Monday Night Football. I'm sorry, not Monday Night Football. The Sunday night game at 8:30. What do you think about that game? I think it's going to be a great game. I think it's going to be high scoring just because Denver has pathetic defense. Cole says mediocre defense, but again, I think Andrew Luck is really going to be shaking himself.
I think it's going to be a very good matchup. I don't think Indianapolis really has much of a chance. They haven't gotten their running game together yet after that whole Trent Richardson trade. They really haven't figured out their offense yet. If Reggie Wayne and T.Y. Hilton are covered, it's not going to go too far. And plus, Von Miller is actually coming back for the Broncos this week. Miller, fresh off his 6-game suspension for failing a drug test and then trying to use someone else's urine in order to cover up for it. So, I mean, Von Miller coming back in the middle is going to be a big boost to their defense. I honestly just think the Broncos are going to keep on trucking. I think now Broncos they're smooth sailing up until Week 9 when they play the Patriots, and then Week 10 with the Chiefs. It's going to be a really good connection. And I really think that the Broncos will be undefeated for the time being. The Chiefs as well. Chiefs play who next week, Jimmy?
I have no idea.
You have it right there.
Next week? No, that's Week 11.
Oh, the Broncos. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it said Browns.
Yeah, I honestly don't know who the Chiefs play next week.
All right, but I think the Chiefs, I read somewhere the Chiefs have a much easier schedule to get towards the end. So we will see. And we have 13 minutes left in our show. If you have any opinions on this, you can give us a call, 609-975-9689. That's 609-975-9689. Lastly, in the football world,
Chiefs play Houston.
Chiefs play Houston, and I mean, even though you can never count Houston out, Matt Schaub may not play next week, which means T.J. Yates will be behind the center. Andre Johnson's still banged up, and their defense is. Oof. What did you think about cheering Matt Schaub's injury?
Pathetic. That was low. That was total scum. That is the worst thing you could do. And they spoke about this on the air on multiple networks. They said it best, and I say they because it was everybody who phrased it this way. This guy is here playing a game, regardless of how much players and athletes make and coaches, anybody affiliated with any sport. The whole thing is, this is his job. This is his livelihood. He's doing this to provide for his family. And you're going to cheer for someone. I understand. He has been performing well. You have people who allegedly have been going up to his house taking pictures or, commenting at him saying he sucks and we want you off the team, whatever that is. You don't do that. It doesn't matter who the guy is. He's a professional athlete. It's his job. Come on, you got to be better fans than that. If you want to be a fan of the team, you be a fan of the team, not certain players. You're there to cheer on the entire team.
I agree. I think it was very classless. And, what Houston doesn't have these days are fans with class. I mean, as you can tell, the Astros had a 0.0 television rating this year for half their games come September. So we really know that Houston doesn't really have...
That's more than last year.
Yeah, that's true. But they had 1,000 people watch their television broadcast. 1,000. I I think we may possibly get more viewers in a few weeks than Houston Astros had in September.
You know what? I would love that. I would love that. Let's move along. Cover some hockey real quick. We're going to move right past the New York Rangers because there's nothing to cover about them.
Well, their defense feels the same way.
I know. There's nothing.
I was telling a friend the other day. She's a big Ranger fan. I was texting her. I'm like, "Oh, did you see the Islander game?" And she's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Well, I thought the Rangers were supposed to be playing, but apparently they didn't show up."
And that's just like the Giants, and basically throughout the whole season for the Yankees. None of the teams that are known for winning, they're not showing up at all. The New York Islanders, however, they're playing all right. They're playing as good as people had expected. Not going undefeated, that's for sure, but playing medium level right now, and it's good. It's nice to see. Biting my tongue saying this, it's nice to see the Islanders playing like this, especially knowing that this is going to be their last season here on the island.
Oh, they got one more, actually.
One more.
They decide that they're going to be playing until
I retract what I just said. With that being said, 2-2 going into the third period for the Islanders and the Sabres. Again, I'm all decked out in Sabres gear tonight. I am saying the Sabres will pull through for their first victory, and they're going to win 3-2. That's it.
I still disagree with you, but we'll get to that in a few seconds. Now, before we move on, and I know I may be putting you on the spot right here, but there's still 3 undefeated teams. There's the St. Louis Blues under Joel Quenneville, the San Jose Sharks, who always seem to do well during the regular season and fizzle out in the playoffs, and Patrick Waugh's Colorado Avalanche, 5-0 with the best record in hockey.
Comment about them all.
Now, actually, the Flames technically have no regulation losses. They're 3-0-2. Now, as we move forward, who do you think is going to be the last one to fall? Who's going to go on that Chicago Blackhawk-esque run from last year?
No one. You're not going to see that again for a very long time. I'll put that one out there right away. The next team to do that will be Detroit because Detroit has a great scouting system. Their minor league teams are always fantastic, and especially now coming over into the Eastern Conference where it's known to be a weaker conference but opposed to the Western Conference. That's a huge upside for the Detroit Red Wings. Of the teams that are undefeated now, I don't think it's going to be Colorado. However, Patrick Waugh is doing something outstanding for Colorado where he did end his career. He made a fool of himself a couple of weeks ago at the end of the game after they had already won by trying to break the glass separating between the two benches. But of the teams that are still undefeated, I thought about it. I'd like to say San Jose, but I'm going to go against that. I'm probably going to have to actually go with St. Louis. I like St. Louis with Halak in net. That's awesome. He's an outstanding goalie. He's always a candidate for the past couple of years, at least for the Vezina Trophy at the end of the year, for best goalie out there. I got to say St. Louis.
I don't mean to be a horrible human being, but San Jose and St. Louis are actually playing each other right now.
I know.
And San Jose is winning 2-0 already.
Oh, I don't know that.
So.
And Halak's in that, right? Yes, of course he is.
So I don't know enough about the Western Conference of hockey to make a decision. I just think what Patrick Waugh has done is great. He's really grown up since he tried to fight the opposing coach in the minor league hockey's a few years ago. So it's always a good thing to see with Patrick Waugh coming back and actually being a good coach. As we're both used to incredible coaches for our Islanders and Rangers. It's nice to see Colorado seem to get it right every single time they hire somebody new.
It's rare in hockey to see a great athlete go on and pursue a coaching career and perform well.
Yeah.
It really is. Obviously, people could throw the names out there, but it's not like you can just rattle every single one off. Obviously, the worst one involved that I've seen, Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah.
That's got to be top number one worst decision ever made to make him the coach from the manager to the owner.
He made the playoffs in Phoenix, I think. He was able to do something out there.
Yeah, but you would think, or at least the average fan, just knowing the household name Wayne Gretzky, oh, he's coaching, or oh, now he's the manager, or no, and now he's the general manager, the owner, he's going to do something great. Especially, it just made sense to go with an organization next to bankrupt, next to being the worst team in the league. Why not? Bring him over. Yeah, it'd be great. No, did not pan out. I don't know why he even did that, to be honest with you.
And, it's actually, these days you're seeing a lot of players become general managers. Joe Sakic's the new general manager for the Avalanche. Garth Snow's the general manager for the Islanders. There's Steve Yzerman's the general manager for the Tampa Bay.
Right.
There's a lot of general managers who are high-quality players. And, yeah, I'm sorry I'm putting Garth Snow in that category. I don't mean to. It just kind of slipped out right.
You know, Sergei Fedorov is not taking a general managing position, but he actually came back.
He actually took the general manager position.
But now he's 40. Oh, he's managing the same team he's playing for.
He's general managing and coaching. And playing. 43
years old. Wow, how about that? That's Mario Lemieux-esque right there.
And he's still probably the best player on the ice. I love Sergei Fedorov. Yeah. When he played for those Red Wings, I think he left a little too early. I know Forsberg got too hurt quickly, but him and Forsberg were by far my two favorite players growing up.
You can't rule out Solani.
Yeah,
how about that? Seeing Solani in Anaheim. I'm sorry, in where they played the other night?
Edmonton?
I forget where it was, but they had the old Mighty Ducks jerseys on.
Yeah, it was Edmonton.
Just seeing them wearing that again, that was awesome.
It's going to be very sad when Teemu Solani leaves. And, people forget also that he actually left the Ducks for a few years and went to the Avalanche to try and go for a cup. I think he got it.
Mm-hmm.
But, he's...
Ray Bourque.
Yes. He is going to be forever known as one of the greatest Ducks of all time. And
one of the greatest players ever. He had 76 goals in his rookie year.
I mean, he'll probably be more famous than Charlie Conway and Adam Banks. But
moving along here, I know normally you bring up the debate, the rant here, I'm sorry. With the 4 minutes left, though, I'd like to say something here about the rant.
But, let's talk for a few more seconds because, I think we can. But, yeah. Go into your rant. I'm sorry. I can't find a song quick enough.
The rant here lies within this guy's jersey over here, the Boston Red Sox. I understand it's playoffs. Your playoff beards gotta go. Baseball is known to have very classy athletes. It's a game, America's pastime. You have these players. I know I said this all on my Jimmy Rants page, and now I'm bringing it here to the Weekly Rant with Jimmy and Steve. It's disgusting to watch. If these were the Red Sox of old a couple of years ago having the beer and chicken, these guys go back on the field, you'll be able to tell which one of those guys had the chicken. It's all in their beards. It's disgusting. They look like Neanderthals out there. They look like they're bums on the street. They don't shave. You don't want to compare it to the New York Yankees because everybody hates the New York Yankees. You hate them or you love them. Yankees are a clean-shaven baseball team. Shut up over there. Stop shaking your head. This is my rant. They don't allow any long hair, no beards, none of that garbage. You look at the Red Sox. They're dirty. They're filthy. They're also scum. I just say that because I hate them. You don't come onto a baseball field looking like that. It's disgusting. I don't want to sit there and watch these guys play baseball looking like that. They look like Tom Hanks from Castaway. Next thing you're going to see is the guy take a baseball and call it Wilson. I don't like it. I hate it. I'm sick and tired of it. And I just wish their organization would say, hey, look, you're giving us a bad name for ourselves. You look at our history. I understand we're a losing organization. Our entire history, 86 years, no championships. Now we want to be known for facial beards. It's disgusting. Cut this stuff.
They had facial beards in 2004. Was anything wrong with that?
We didn't have a show then.
You're right. I think I have the perfect song for this situation, though.
Okay.
I think I do. I'll listen to this song for a few seconds.
Yeah, this is good.
I'm a chicken fried. And cold beer on a Friday night. A pair of jeans that fit just right. And the radio on.
Absolutely, and we'll let this play in the background as I do this. I saw Zach Brown Band on Saturday night.
Yeah, so that was August. That was good, right?
That was one hell of a show. They played a lot of covers. In fact, they actually played Enter Sandman by Metallica, which was really cool. But, it was a great show, and this song fits perfectly. The cold beer and the fried chicken, Boston Red Sox, all goes along together. Until next week, you can find our next show on Ustream where you found us tonight. And if you watch us on youtube.com/Jimmys Rants, can watch all the previous editions. If you ever have any comments or concerns about our show, twitter.com/Jimmys Rants. You can go to Facebook and find us on Facebook at Jimmys Rants. You getting a theme here? Our next show will be Tuesday at 8 p.m. For Jimmy, I'm Steve. Have yourself a great night. And let's see if we can find a few more songs to play on our way out.
Again, we really appreciate all our new viewers here. Thanks for coming. Please watch us again next week.
got my toes in the water, ass in the sand. Not a worry in a world of cold beer in my hand. Life is good today. Life is good today.
Put these all together.